Have you ever stood in front of an ancient temple and just felt something? Like it was trying to tell you a story? Well, that's because they are. These incredible structures aren't just stone and sculpture. They're entire sagas, philosophies, all carved for eternity. And today, we're going to learn how to read them. Hey everyone, and welcome to Sunday Test. Today, we are decoding the secret language of India's magnificent temples. So let's just jump right in. So, you've all seen temples, right? Of course you have. But have you ever really understood their language? I mean, the specific vocabulary of their design. That's what we're here to do today, to really decode the architecture of India's temples. To understand any language, you have to learn the alphabet first. So let's start with the absolute fundamentals, the basic components that make up pretty much every single Hindu temple you'll find across the country. First up, we have the heart of the temple, the Garbhagriha. And that name is so perfect. It literally means womb house. It's this small, usually dark, cave-like room right in the center where the main idol is kept. It is the spiritual core of the entire building. Now, as you move out from that sacred core, you step into the mandapa. This is the big hall, the pavilion where everyone gathers for prayers and ceremonies. Just think of it as the temple's main assembly area. And rising high above the Garbhagriha is the Grand Spire. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because its name and its shape actually change depending on where you are. Up north, it's a curving shikara, but down south, it's a stepped, pyramid-like tower called a vimana. Remember this difference, it's absolutely crucial. So a real quick recap of our building blocks. You've got the Garbhagriha, the mandapa, the shikara or vimana, and often, right in front of the sanctum, you'll see the vahan, which is the mount or vehicle of the main deity. Got it? Okay, now let's see how these parts create totally different styles. First, let's head north and explore the fantastic Nagaraya style. This is the architectural language you'll see all over the northern part of the country.
The very first thing you'll probably notice about a Nagara temple is that the whole thing is built on a high stone platform. You actually have to climb a flight of stairs to get to it. Its shikara is curved, almost like a mountain peak, reaching for the sky, and the tallest peak is always right above the Garbhagriha. They also don't typically have those huge boundary walls you might be picturing.
And this is just a textbook example. The famous temples at Khajuraho are Nagara-style perfection. You can see that high platform and the cluster of shikarazas rising up, with the biggest one right in the middle, marking that sacred Garbhagriha.
Okay, this slide right here is the key to everything. It really breaks down the two major styles. In the north, you've got that curving shikara on a high platform. In the south, you get a stepped, pyramid-shaped vimana inside a huge walled compound with a massive gateway called a gopuram. Even the entrances are different. Nagara temples often have river goddesses, while Dravida temples are guarded by these fierce doorkeepers called Dwarapalas.
So now that we've seen the north, let's travel south to see the grand, imposing Dravida style. And believe me, the scale down here is just on another level.
The Dravida style is almost the complete opposite of the Nagara. The temple is contained within this huge compound wall. The main entrance isn't the temple itself, but a gigantic gateway tower, the Gopuram, which is often the most decorated part. The main spire, the Vimana, goes up in a series of steps just like a pyramid, and it's super common to find a large temple tank right there inside the complex.
And for the perfect example, you have to look at the Brihadishwara temple in Tanjavur. I mean, this is the very definition of Dravida grandeur. Its massive vimana is over 70 meters tall. It just dominates the entire landscape. It's a true masterclass in this architectural style.
So what happens when these two powerful styles meet? Well, right in the Deccan, the heart of India, this beautiful fusion happens and it creates totally new and unique kinds of temple architecture.
This hybrid style is called Visara. It's not quite Nagara, and it's not quite Dravida. It's a creative blend of both. You find it mostly in the Deccan region, especially in Karnataka. It's basically where north meets south, architecturally speaking.
The Hoysala temples are probably the most jaw-dropping examples of the Visara style. They're known for these incredibly detailed carvings, which were possible because they used soft soapstone. But their most unique feature has to be the ground plan. It's often shaped like a star, which is called a stellate plan. It's a completely different kind of geometry than anything we've seen so far.
And beyond these big three, India is just bursting with distinct regional styles. In Gujarat, the Sun Temple at Modhera has this magnificent stepped tank.
Over in Bengal, you find these unique terracotta temples with a curved roof that was actually inspired by local bamboo huts, a style so famous it's called the Bangla roof. The creativity is just endless.
So we've looked at the art, we've looked at the architecture, but to really truly understand these temples, we have to look beyond the stone and see the role they played in the world around them.
You see, these massive complexes were never just places for prayer. The sheer scale, the amount of money and manpower that went into them, that tells you they were much, much more than that. So what other jobs did they have?
They were the centers of life itself. Temples were massive landowners and acted as powerful administrative centers. They were patrons of the arts, funding music and dance. They controlled enormous amounts of wealth and were basically the economic engines for their entire regions. They were the central pillar that society was built around.
So here's the most important thing to remember. When we look at a temple, we're not just looking at a religious building. We are looking at a society's ambition, its artistic genius, its economic power, and its view of the cosmos, all captured in stone. It makes you wonder, right? What do these structures really tell us about the people who spend centuries building them? So, the next time you see a temple, you'll know how to read its language. To test out what you've learned today and explore even more, come visit us at www.sundaytest.com. Thanks so much for watching.